Nick's grand gesture, a dangerous spark. The Los Angeles skyline shimmered in the early morning light, but Brooke Logan's heart felt anything but bright. In her hands, a delicate envelope. No name, no return address, just a gold wax seal and the faintest trace of cologne that once made her knees weak. Nick Marone. She didn't need to open it to know what it was. A bold move. A challenge. A door to a future that looked nothing like the past she'd been trying to escape. A boat, a promise, and a past unfinished. Later that day, Brooke arrived at Marina del Rey, unsure why she'd agreed to meet him. She told herself it was for business, but deep down she knew better. A sleek yacht gently rocked in the harbor, dressed in white sails and lavender garlands. On the deck, Nick stood waiting. He wore that classic Marone grin, the one that always suggested he knew exactly what he was doing. "Brooke," he said softly, offering his hand as she stepped on board. "You look just like I remembered, maybe even better." She tried not to smile. The yacht wasn't just a setting, it was a statement. A floating metaphor for everything Nick was offering. Freedom, luxury, possibility. They shared a glass of wine as the sun began its descent over the Pacific. The tension between them was thick, but not bitter. It was sweet, confusing, familiar. "I'm going to Italy next week," Nick said finally. "There's a business expansion with Marone International, but I want you to come with me. Not just for work, for us." Brooke blinked. Her heart thudded. "Nick, we have history, complicated history." "Exactly," he replied, "and I think it's time we stopped running from it." Back at the Forrester estate, rumblings of romance and regret. Meanwhile, at the Forrester estate, preparations for the grand Italian trip were in full swing. The house buzzed with assistants, designers, stylists, all ready to whisk the family off to Naples and Capri. Eric Forrester stood at the center of it all, like a proud maestro conducting an orchestra. And, as always, he had his own agenda. During a short toast in the Forrester living room, Eric spoke with charm and intent. "Italy has a way of bringing people back to their senses," he said, raising his glass. "Or back to their hearts." Ridge stood nearby, arms folded, expression unreadable. When Eric glanced at him, there was a moment of eye contact, brief but weighted. Eric was playing matchmaker again, and Ridge knew it. The news that changes everything. Later that afternoon, Brooke stopped by the Forrester mansion. Ridge caught up with her just as she was about to leave. "So," he said casually, "you're going to Italy?" "Looks like it," Brooke replied, adjusting her bag. "Eric wants the whole family there. Big ideas, big celebrations." "And Nick?" Ridge asked, his voice tight. Brooke turned, meeting his gaze. "He'll be there too, invited me himself." There was silence. Then a sharp exhale from Ridge. "Of course he did." Brooke's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," Ridge muttered, "except you don't seem to waste time moving on." "I wasn't aware I needed your permission." "Ouch." Ridge clenched his jaw, a storm brewing behind his calm exterior. The thought of Nick and Brooke in Italy together, laughing, drinking wine, sharing memories, made his blood boil. He didn't want her. Or did he? A look that says everything. As Brooke walked out the door, Ridge watched her go. The sunlight caught her hair. She didn't look back. "You're still in love with her," Eric said, stepping beside him. "I don't know what I am," Ridge replied, "but I know I don't trust Nick." Eric smiled knowingly. "Maybe it's not about trusting Nick. Maybe it's about trusting yourself. To fight for what you still want." Ridge didn't respond, but his silence spoke volumes. The clock starts ticking. That night, Brooke sat on her patio alone. The ocean breeze swept through her silk robe as she stared at the Italian invitation Nick had left her. One man offered stability, charm, and a fresh start. The other, chaos, history, and undeniable passion. The clock was ticking, and Italy was calling. What if everything I've been searching for isn't behind me, but ahead? She closed her eyes, heart pounding, as the scene faded to black. Ridge's jealousy burns, the battle before Italy. The walls of Forrester Creations had witnessed countless love stories, some eternal, some tragic, most unfinished. And today, in his sleek corner office high above Los Angeles, Ridge Forrester was fighting a war he hadn't prepared for. But it wasn't a business deal. It was Brooke. It was always Brooke. The phone call he shouldn't have answered. Ridge sat behind his desk, fingers tapping against the leather armrest. He was staring at the trip itinerary to Italy. Naples first, then Capri, then a Forrester fashion gala in Florence. What should have excited him now felt like an ambush. Suddenly his phone buzzed. "Yeah," he answered, voice low. It was Carter. "Hey, just wanted to let you know, I ran into Nick earlier. He said he and Brooke are flying out together Friday morning." Silence. "Thought you'd want to hear it from me, man." "Yeah," Ridge muttered. "Thanks." He hung up. The glass of water on his desk trembled slightly as he slammed the phone down. His pulse was racing faster than he'd like to admit. She said yes, she's going with him. Flashbacks and regret. He leaned back in his chair, the weight of years crashing down all at once. Memories of Brooke flooded in. The first kiss on the Forrester terrace. The wedding in front of the Eiffel Tower. The day she miscarried their child, and he held her through the night. "She's the love of your life, Ridge," his mind whispered. So why had he let her go? Why hadn't he fought harder? Why was he now imagining her in Nick's arms, on a boat, in Capri? Ridge shut his eyes. The jealousy wasn't just rising, it was drowning him. An unexpected visit. The door creaked open. Donna Logan stepped in. "I figured I'd find you here," she said softly. "What do you want, Donna?" Ridge replied, not looking up. "To talk about Brooke." He didn't answer. "She's confused, hurt. You know when you push her away, she doesn't wait around. Not anymore." "So she runs into Nick's arms," Ridge snapped. "Nick offered her something you didn't." "What, an escape?" "No, a choice." Donna placed a hand gently on the desk. "You still love her, Ridge. You just don't know how to say it anymore." She walked out without waiting for a reply. Ridge sat in silence, Donna's words echoing in the room like an aftershock. A glimmer of jealous rage. That evening, Ridge stood alone in the Forrester family garden. It was quiet, except for the hum of cicadas and the rustle of rose bushes Brooke had planted years ago. He stared at them. He remembered Brooke's laughter here. He remembered how she used to sit barefoot on the stone bench, sipping tea, dreaming about their future. Now she was dreaming with someone else. "You think you can take her from me?" he muttered under his breath, as if Nick were standing in front of him. A part of Ridge, a darker, more possessive side, was waking up. Maybe he had been too passive for too long. Maybe it was time to stop watching from the sidelines. Italy isn't ready for what's coming. The next morning, Ridge arrived at the private airfield an hour earlier than scheduled, his suitcase already packed, his mind made up. If Brooke wanted to explore something with Nick, fine. But he wasn't going to sit back and watch it happen. He was going to Italy. And he was going to remind Brooke Logan exactly who she fell in love with. This isn't over, he thought, as he stepped into the Forrester jet. Above the clouds, far from Los Angeles and closer to the storm of emotions ahead, Ridge closed his eyes. But he wasn't resting. He was preparing. Because in Italy, there are no second chances. Only bold moves and devastating consequences. Brooke feels it too. Back at her Malibu home, Brooke stared out at the ocean. She didn't know what Ridge had decided. She didn't know how he felt. But somehow, she could feel it. "He's coming," she whispered to herself. And when he does, everything could change. Italian skies, forbidden desires. The triangle touches. Down in Naples, the moment the Forrester private jet touched down in Naples, the hot Italian sun poured through the cabin windows like liquid gold. The sea glistened just beyond the horizon, as if inviting every heart on board to dive into something dangerously beautiful. But for Brooke Logan, love had never been just sunshine and beaches. It had always been firestorms, and she could already feel the heat building before her feet even hit the tarmac. A scenic welcome. With a side of tension, stepping off the jet, Brooke took a deep breath of the salt-kissed air, wearing a cream silk blouse and oversized sunglasses. The breeze flirted with her hair. Behind her, Eric and Donna descended, chatting excitedly about the upcoming fashion event. And then came Ridge. He walked out last, silent, steady, eyes locked straight on Brooke. She turned, startled for a split second. She hadn't expected him this early, or this intense. "You came," she said quietly. "Of course I did," Ridge replied, tone low. "I wouldn't miss this for the world." Just as they were about to speak further, a sleek black convertible pulled up. Nick Marone stepped out, wearing aviator shades, a dark blazer, and that signature cocky smile. Hope I'm not late to the Italian love triangle, he quipped. Tension hit the air like thunder. Eric cleared his throat. Donna forced a laugh. But Brooke? She stood frozen between two men who had defined her past and might yet decide her future. The drive along the Amalfi Coast, scenic views and scathing looks. Later that day, the group split into two cars. Eric, Donna, and Carter took one. Brooke was left to choose between Ridge and Nick. She hesitated and got into Nick's car. As the convertible sped along the winding cliffs of the Amalfi Coast, Brooke tried to enjoy the view. The ocean sparkled like 1,000 diamonds, and Nick was being charming, pointing out landmarks, cracking jokes, making her laugh. But behind her sunglasses, Brooke kept glancing in the side mirror, watching the car behind them, watching Ridge. "He's staring at you," Nick said without looking away from the road. "You don't know that," she replied. "I know Ridge, and I know when he's losing something he thought he owned." Brooke didn't respond, but her silence said it all. Villa Forrester, a house divided. That evening, the group arrived at the rented Forrester Villa in the hills above Naples. The estate was sprawling and elegant. White stone, olive trees, and a view that could melt hearts. Inside, Eric had ensured every guest room was luxurious, but there was only one master suite. And somehow, Ridge's luggage ended up in it. When Brooke saw the arrangements, she blinked. "Really?" she muttered. "Must have been a mistake," Ridge said, shrugging. "Or destiny," Eric chimed in, far too cheerfully. Brooke wasn't sure if she wanted to laugh or scream. Nick, for his part, wasn't amused. That night, he invited Brooke to take a moonlit walk around the villa gardens, an offer Ridge silently seethed over from the second-floor balcony. A kiss in the garden. Under the Tuscan moon, Nick and Brooke strolled through the cypress-lined paths. Fireflies danced around them. In the distance, the sound of a fountain echoed like a heartbeat. Nick stopped, gently taking Brooke's hand. "I know this is complicated," he said, "but I meant every word on that boat in Malibu. I want to be with you, in Italy, in LA, anywhere." He leaned in, slowly, hesitantly. Brooke didn't pull away. Their lips met. It was soft at first, questioning, but then it deepened, blooming into something raw and unspoken. When they parted, she touched her lips like she didn't know who she was anymore. "I should go," she whispered. "Come back to me," Nick said. "Don't go back to the man who keeps breaking you." Brooke turned and walked away, confused, shaken, and watched. From the shadows near the stone fountain, Ridge had seen it all. The fire has been lit that night. Back in the master suite, Ridge stood by the window, staring out over the twinkling hills. He wasn't just jealous anymore. He was furious. If Nick wants a war, Ridge said to himself, jaw clenched, he's got one. And, down the hall, Brooke lay awake, her heart pounding not with passion, but with dread. Tomorrow would bring fashion, festivities, and maybe the final fracture between her and the man who once promised her forever. Confrontation in Capri, one kiss too far. The next morning, the Forrester Villa was quiet. Too quiet. Sunlight filtered through the lace curtains, casting golden lines across Brooke's pillow, but she hadn't slept. Her mind kept replaying the kiss in the garden. Nick's voice echoed in her head. "Don't go back to the man who keeps breaking you." But what if the man who broke her was still the only one who ever made her feel whole? Downstairs, coffee brewed. Spoons clinked against porcelain, but tension hung over the breakfast table like a storm cloud ready to burst. The invitation to Capri. Eric, ever the optimist, entered the room with a flourish. "Good morning, family," he beamed. "Pack your bags. Today we sail to Capri." Capri. Romantic, remote, and no way to escape once the boat left shore. Brooke blinked. Ridge, sipping black coffee in the corner, didn't say a word. Nick, already in linen and sunglasses, gave her a wink. "Capri," Brooke murmured. "Of course." And so, by midday, the group found themselves aboard a luxurious yacht, slicing across the turquoise waters of the Tyrrhenian Sea. The island of Capri loomed ahead, beautiful, dramatic, and dangerous. Just like what was about to happen. A view with a warning. That afternoon, as the sun hung high above the cliffs, Brooke stood alone on the villa's terrace in Capri, watching waves crash against jagged rock. Ridge appeared silently beside her. "You kissed him," he said. She didn't deny it. "You watched." "I didn't need to. I could feel it." There was a long silence. "Why now, Brooke?" Ridge asked. "Why Nick? After everything we've been through?" Because you stopped showing up, she replied, eyes shimmering. Because I waited for you to fight for us, and all I got was silence. Ridge stepped closer. I am fighting now. Too late, she whispered, voice cracking. But Ridge reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. Is it? Their faces were inches apart. The air sizzled between them. Say the word, Ridge said, and I'll never let you go again. She turned away. I can't keep doing this dance, Ridge. I deserve more. Behind them, unseen, Nick stood in the shadows, watching, listening, burning, a dinner that explodes. That evening, under candlelight and olive branches, the entire group sat around a massive stone table in the villa courtyard. Italian music played softly, wine flowed, but everyone could feel the tension building like an opera reaching its crescendo. And then, it happened. Nick raised his glass. To Brooke, for trusting me, and for giving the past another chance. Brooke's eyes widened, Ridge's jaw tightened. Giving the past another chance? Ridge repeated. You make it sound like she's already chosen you. Maybe she has, Nick replied calmly. Maybe she's ready to stop waiting for a man who only loves her when it's convenient. The table went silent. Brooke stood, heart pounding. This isn't the time, she whispered. Isn't it? Ridge snapped. Because it sure looks like you're falling into the same trap you escaped years ago. At least I'm not falling for someone who can't decide if he wants me, she fired back. Nick stood, Ridge followed, two titans ready to clash. You want to fight? Ridge growled. Let's talk about who really walked away from Brooke. You did, Nick said flatly. Every damn time. Eric stood up, furious. Enough! This trip was supposed to bring us closer, not tear us apart. But it was too late. Brooke, now in tears, turned and walked away. The cliffside ultimatum. Minutes later, Ridge caught up with Brooke on a rocky overlook above the sea. The wind whipped through her hair. Her eyes were glassy. You want me to fight for you? He said, breathless. Fine, I will. I'll fight Nick. I'll fight fate. I'll fight myself if I have to. She shook her head. I don't need you to fight him. I need you to fight for us. When it matters. Not just when you're jealous. I never stopped loving you, Logan. But you stopped showing it, she replied, voice hollow. Nick appeared behind them. We should go, Brooke. She turned back to Ridge. I need time, she said. Then, without another word, she walked away. Again. But this time, both men realized she might not come back. A sea of regret. As the camera pans over the glowing cliffs of Capri, we see three hearts drifting in separate directions. Ridge stands alone, fists clenched. Nick watches Brooke disappear into the darkness. And Brooke. She walks toward the unknown, unsure which man, if either, truly holds her heart anymore. Love never dies in Italy, but it doesn't always survive either. Florence at midnight. A choice, a twist, a goodbye. 3 days later, Florence had never looked more magical. The Forrester Fashion Gala was in full swing. Champagne bubbles floated like stars under the Renaissance chandeliers. Silk gowns trailed across marble floors, and string quartets whispered in the background like love letters set to music. But beneath the glamour, something fragile trembled. Brooke Logan had made a decision. Tonight, she would tell them both. The calm before the storm. From the balcony of the historic Forrester venue overlooking the Arno River, Brooke stood alone. She wore a sleek golden gown that shimmered like candlelight. Her heart, however, was heavy with uncertainty. Behind her, soft footsteps. It was Nick. You shine tonight, he said. But something tells me it's not happiness. She turned, managed a small smile. Nick, you've been incredible, supportive, brave, and honest. Things Ridge never was, at least not lately. Then come with me, Nick whispered. Come back to L.A. and let's stop chasing ghosts. She hesitated. Let me speak to him first, she said, voice low. Nick nodded, confident, but not reckless. He knew a storm was coming. The final talk. In a corner of the grand hall, Ridge stood nursing a whiskey, watching Brooke like a man haunted. When she approached, his eyes softened instantly. You look like a dream, he said. Then maybe it's time we both wake up, she replied, calm but serious. Don't do this. Ridge, she said gently, I have loved you for what feels like forever, but forever has to mean something. You can't keep showing up only when someone else might take me away. I'm showing up now. Too late, she said again, tears welling. You always say the right things, after the damage is done. He reached for her hand. She pulled it away. I kissed Nick, and I didn't regret it. Not because I want to hurt you, but because in that moment, I felt seen. Really seen. Ridge's lips parted, but no words came. Goodbye, Ridge. And, with that, she walked away. But fate had other plans. The shocking interruption. As Brooke stepped outside into the quiet piazza beyond the gala, a black SUV screeched around the corner. Flashing lights, a man in a dark suit emerged. "Brooke Logan," the man called. Nick ran toward her, confused. "What's going on?" "We're with Interpol," the agent replied. "Mr. Marone, we need to speak with you, privately." "This is insane," Nick growled. "It's about the Tuscany contract, and a missing signature that ties to an offshore account." Brooke gasped. "Nick, what is this?" "I don't know," he said, but doubt flickered in his eyes. Just then, Ridge appeared at the top of the stairs. He saw the chaos, the fear on Brooke's face, the handcuffs slipping onto Nick's wrists. "Don't touch her," Nick shouted as officers moved in. "We're not here for her, just you." Brooke looked at Ridge. "Is this real?" "I don't know," Ridge said, but a silent "I told you so" hung between them. The last thing Brooke saw before Nick was taken into the SUV was his eyes. Confused, hurt, but not entirely innocent. One door closes, or does it? Later that night, Brooke stood once again on a balcony, Florence glittering beneath her. Ridge joined her in silence. No words, just breath. "I made a choice," she said finally, "and the universe rejected it." "Maybe the universe was waiting," Ridge said softly, stepping closer. "Don't," she whispered. "I'm not asking you to come back," he said. "Not yet. I'm just saying, I never stopped loving you, and I never will." Brooke's eyes filled, but she didn't turn. "Let's just stand here," she said. "Just for a minute. No decisions, no history, just now." And so they stood, side by side, no longer lovers, not yet strangers. Simply two souls trying to find their way through the ruins of what once was. The curtain falls. As the camera pulled away from the rooftop, Florence stretched wide and timeless below. Somewhere, a church bell rang. The music of the gala drifted into the night, and a question remained. Was this the end of a triangle, or just the beginning of another circle? Return to LA. Secrets, suspicions, and silent hearts. 1 week later, Los Angeles. The Forester jet had touched down. The Italian sun was already a memory, replaced by the cold steel of city skyscrapers and the buzz of fashion meetings resuming. But inside Brooke Logan's Malibu home, everything felt different. The silence was louder now, because Nick was gone. Back to routine, but nothing feels right. Brooke sat on the edge of her bed holding a framed photo, her and Nick, from years ago, both younger, carefree, happy. She traced his face with her fingertip. Was it all real? Was it all a lie? The phone rang. "Logan," Ridge said on the other end, his voice hesitant. "Just checking in." "I'm fine," she answered. "He's still in holding. His lawyers are trying to fight the charges. I just thought you'd want to know." "Thanks." A pause. "If you need anything, I'll call." And she hung up. But she wouldn't call, because she wasn't ready to hear Ridge say "I told you so," even if he never would. The scandal spreads. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, whispers filled the halls. Pam had already printed out 3 tabloids featuring headlines like "Nick Marone arrested in Florence, Brooke Logan caught in the middle," "International finance fraud," or "Forrester setup." Even Katie was asking questions. Hope had tried calling Brooke 4 times. Liam, still recovering, avoided the conversation entirely. "This isn't just a scandal," Carter said to Eric. "This could affect business. If Brooke's name is involved..." Eric slammed his hand on the table. "Brooke is not to blame. She didn't know anything about Nick's dealings. And until proven otherwise, neither do we." Still, the tension was real. And it was spreading fast. Brooke's private doubts. That night, Brooke finally opened the drawer where she had placed Nick's handwritten note from Florence. She read it again. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't get to explain. But please believe me, Brooke, I never used you. Not for business, not for business, not for leverage, just for love." She wanted to believe him. But the truth, she didn't know if she did. The kiss in Capri, the laughter on the yacht, the stolen glances in Naples, all now covered in doubt. And somewhere deep inside she wondered, did I ever really know Nick? An unexpected visitor. The next day, Ridge showed up at Brooke's door. Not with flowers, not with a suit and smugness. Just jeans, a worn t-shirt, and a look that said, "I'm not here to win. I'm here to listen." "Hi," he said. "Hi. Mind if I sit?" She nodded. They sat in silence for a full minute before Ridge finally spoke. "I know I'm the last person you want to talk to, but I just needed to say something." "What?" "You don't have to go through this alone." Brooke looked away, tears brimming but not falling. "I feel stupid." "You shouldn't. I picked the wrong man again." "You picked what felt right in the moment." "That's not weakness, Logan. That's human." He reached out, gently touching her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. The twist no one saw coming. Just as Ridge stood to leave, Brooke's phone lit up. A restricted number. She hesitated, then answered. "Ms. Logan?" came a deep, formal voice. "This is Special Agent Duvall with Interpol. I need to speak with you. Urgently." "What is this about?" "It's about Mr. Marone. We believe he may have been set up." Brooke froze. "Set up? By who?" "We're not ready to say yet, but someone on the inside, possibly with ties to Forrester International." Her eyes darted to Ridge, still in the doorway, watching her face twist in confusion and disbelief. "You're saying Nick might be innocent?" "Yes, ma'am, and you might be in danger." Shadows over Malibu. As the sun set over the ocean, Brooke stood on her patio again, only now the breeze felt colder. Everything she thought she knew, about Nick, about Ridge, about her own heart, was shifting like sand beneath her feet. And, far away, in a dark office lit only by computer monitors and silence, a man closed a file marked, "Forrester Internal Inquiry, Suspect Number 1, Ridge Forrester." The Forrester betrayal, lies, leverage, and Logan in the crossfire. The sun rose over Los Angeles with sharp orange edges, but for Brooke Logan, it didn't bring light, only more shadows. She replayed the call from Interpol over and over again. Nick Marone may have been framed, and now she might be in danger. The whispered warning. She drove to Forrester Creations that morning, the city slipping past her window like a blur. Her phone buzzed again, this time a text from Agent Duvall. "Do not discuss with anyone inside Forrester. We believe the person behind the setup is close." Her hands trembled. Close. Inside the fashion house, everything looked normal. Models hustled between fittings, Zenda reviewed sketches, and Steffi argued about fabric cuts. But to Brooke, everyone suddenly looked like a suspect, including Ridge. Secrets in the shadows. At the top floor, Ridge paced in his office. The mood from Florence hadn't left him. His guilt over Brooke's pain lingered like fog, but something else gnawed at him. Someone had arranged for Nick to take the fall. But who? Could it have been Thomas? He wondered aloud. Or worse, someone trying to protect me. He pulled out a folder from his locked drawer, one marked Confidential. Tuscany Merger. He flipped through documents, contracts, internal memos, and then he saw it. A forged signature on a deal that Nick never signed. The initials beside it? RF. His own. What the hell? Suddenly, his office door creaked. It was Eric. "We need to talk," the patriarch said, closing the door behind him. Father versus son, Eric didn't sit. "Ridge, I'm going to ask you a question. I need you to answer me honestly." "Okay. Did you frame Nick?" "What? Of course not." "Then why is your name on a forged document?" "I didn't sign anything. Someone's using my initials." Eric sighed. "You need to figure out who, fast, because Interpol isn't going to wait." Brooke's hidden file. Meanwhile, in the archive room, Brooke followed Agent Duvall's instructions to the letter. Her heart pounded as she opened the secure server. "Search for Internal Merger 2025, Alt." The folder appeared instantly. Inside, emails, wire transfers, even a recorded phone call. And in that call, a voice she recognized. "I don't care what happens to Marone, just get it done. Ridge will thank me later." Brooke's jaw dropped. The voice. Steffi. A daughter's loyalty. A lover's war. Later that night, Brooke sat across from Ridge in her living room. "I found something," she said, "and you're not going to like it." She handed him the file. As he read, his face hardened, then fell. "Steffi, she did it to protect you, to clear the way. For me." Ridge dropped the paper. "She went too far." "But why didn't you see it, Ridge?" Brooke said quietly. "She's always been ready to destroy anyone to keep me away from you. Because I trusted her." Brooke stood. And you never trusted me. He looked up. That's not true. Then why am I always the one paying for your family's sins? Silence. You should go, she said. Ridge nodded. And, this time, he didn't fight her. Brooke makes the call. Back in her bedroom, Brooke dialed a number she hadn't called in days. Hello? Nick, she whispered. It's me. I know the truth now. I'm going to clear your name. Brooke, are you sure? Yes, but when you get out. A pause. We need to talk. About us. About everything. I'm ready, he said. She hung up, walked to the window, and stared out into the night. Outside, the Forrester legacy gleamed in the distance. But inside, it was starting to crack. The confrontation, Steffi's downfall, and the rise of a new enemy. The boardroom at Forrester Creations had seen its share of scandals, secrets, and screaming matches, but this time the tension was different. Because Brooke Logan wasn't here to play nice. She was here for justice, face to face with Steffi. Steffi sat at the head of the conference table, dressed in a sleek black suit, confident as ever, but her eyes narrowed as Brooke walked in, with Ridge and Eric right behind her. What's this? Steffi asked coolly. A family meeting, Eric said, and an intervention. Brooke didn't waste time. She pulled out a folder, placed it on the table, and opened it. You forged Ridge's signature, you leaked false contracts, and you framed Nick Marone for financial fraud. Steffi blinked. That's ridiculous. Don't lie, Ridge snapped. We've heard the recording. For a brief moment, Steffi's mask slipped. A flicker of panic passed across her face. I did it for you, Dad, she said. Nick was manipulating Brooke. Again. I had to protect the company. And us. Brooke stepped forward, voice trembling, not from fear, but fury. You don't get to decide who I love. You've hated me since day one, but this was criminal. You're not family, Steffi growled. I am, whether you like it or not. Eric raised a hand. Steffi, you'll step down, immediately. What? You've crossed a line, and you're done. Silence. Steffi stood slowly, glaring at Brooke. You think you've won? You think you and Nick will ride off into the sunset? Brooke didn't flinch. No, I think you've already lost. Nick walks free. That evening, at the Federal Building in downtown LA, Nick Marone stepped out into the night air, a free man. Waiting for him? Brooke. She ran to him, no hesitation this time, and threw her arms around his neck. You're okay, she whispered. I am now, he replied. A black car pulled up. Agent Duvall stepped out. You should know, he said. The real forger may not have been working alone. Nick looked up. There's more. We believe someone else at Forrester helped Steffi, and they're still there. Brooke's smile faded. Whispers in the hall, back at Forrester, as Steffi packed up her office in silence, a shadow appeared in the doorway. Thomas Forrester, you took the fall for both of us, he said softly. It's fine, Steffi replied. It had to be me. If they knew about you... They won't, Thomas cut in. I'll make sure of it. They embraced, two siblings bound by blood and secrets. This isn't over, Steffi whispered. Not by a long shot. Ridge and Brooke. The crossroads. Later that night, Brooke returned to her Malibu home. Ridge waited outside, his arms crossed, his face unreadable. You were right, he said. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. I don't need protection, Ridge. I need a partner. He looked at her, broken. Can we start again? Maybe someday, she said gently. But not now. Is it Nick? It's me, she replied, for the first time in a long time. I'm choosing me. She walked inside, leaving Ridge under the stars, alone again. A new enemy watches. Inside a hidden office deep within the corporate building, security footage played silently. A man sat at a desk, adjusting his tie, sipping whiskey. On the screen, Brooke hugging Nick, Ridge confronting Steffi, Thomas and Steffi embracing. He smiled. Let them destroy each other. Then he clicked a button. A file opened. Project Forrester Collapse. And beneath it, a name no one had spoken in years. Deacon Sharp. Thank you for joining us on this wild ride through love, betrayal, and second chances on the bold and the beautiful. As Florence fades into memory and Los Angeles ignites once again, one thing is clear, the game is far from over. Will Brooke finally find peace? Will Ridge fight for her again? And what role will Deacon play in the next chapter? Don't miss a single twist. Like, share, and subscribe for weekly previews, exclusive spoilers, and deep dives into your favorite characters. Let us know in the comments. Who do you want Brooke to end up with? Nick, Ridge, or no one at all? Because on this show, beauty is bold and love is never simple. Hello and goodbye.